My Little Pony has a lot of great characters, so today I'm gonna pick Fluttershy to speak about. I feel like Fluttershy among her friends is very interesting because of her growth. Now, all the main six had their growth and development, but Fluttershy's kind of stood out to me. At the start of the show, Fluttershy is very quiet. When Twilight tried asking for her name, she could barely speak it. She was just too shy. She only spoke up when she saw Spike because of her interest. Fluttershy, she's a Pegasus pony, loves being close to the ground, and loves taking care of animals. So Spike, she probably sees as a little creature. Okay, I guess that sounds a little condescending when I say it out loud, but I don't think she meant to be. Point is, she saw something cute, and that kind of brought her out of her shell a bit. Then, as the show went on, we see her with their close group of friends. Now, even when she's with them, she's not really the best at speaking, because sometimes when she's speaking, other characters will speak over her, especially Pinkie Pie. I recall an episode where she was trying to warn her town, hey, there's smoke coming out of a mountain, and no one's listening to her because she's not really speaking loudly enough. And Pinkie Pie was like shouting up a storm. So it's a very understanding situation when you can't really speak loudly enough and you're not good at getting people's attention. Um, and then by the end of it, she at least learns to speak loudly enough, but she goes back to kind of being shy the next episode. My Little Pony was kind of episodic in a way, so there really wasn't that much of an overarching story for it. I mean, the most overarching story in season one was them getting ready to go to a gala. As the show went on, it started doing more overarching stories. But I think the issue here is this. Fans expected her to kind of change. Like, they hated that she had to learn the same lesson over and over again, because season 2 had this lesson again. She was very shy because she had to go practice for this tornado bait thing, and she couldn't because she felt like everyone was laughing at her, because historically Fluttershy has always been laughed at for her poor flying abilities. So she was going through a lot. Fluttershy had to learn again to be assertive. But here's the thing, and I feel like I mentioned this before. No one changes that fast. You can't expect an overnight change. And I know this because I know fans complained about some characters getting these overnight changes, so to speak. Discord was a weird way to reform a character, because one minute he's so chaotic, no one trusts him, and then all of a sudden he cares about friendship. And then it goes back and forth. Sometimes he's liked, sometimes he's not liked. Sometimes he's liked, sometimes he's not liked. Like, you really need to make up your mind when it comes to Discord. But he is very chaotic, so I can forgive that. I just wish his friend or the ponies were shown as being able to work with that. But then you also have Starlight Glimmer, who was kind of reformed way too fast, in my opinion. I think they also tried to dial it back with her. And it led to an interesting narrative that even when a character is reformed, not everyone's going to trust this character. So at least they tried backpedaling a little with Starlight Glimmer, because I remember when she performed, I almost wanted to drop the show. When you reform, I'm going to compare Fluttershy to Prince Zuko from Avatar. Zuko starts off as his villainous character, but you kind of get a sense that he's not really as bad as he seems. As the show goes on, he grows. You find out he wasn't always bad, but then after his banishment, he was a selfish prince, and then he seems to get better. He kind of relapses and makes a mistake again, but then he realizes what he thought he wanted wasn't what he wanted, and then he becomes better. I feel like that's what Fluttershy. Fluttershy has that slow change thing to her, where she's learning different ways to assert herself, but it's not easy. One episode, she tries to talk assertively, and guess what? She messes up because she doesn't know how to be aggressive. She thinks being aggressive means being mean. Being aggressive isn't about being mean, it's about speaking up and letting your voice be heard. And you could do that without yelling at a person or making the person feel like garbage. Unfortunately, she just wasn't given the best advice, but she was trying too hard. And I feel like that's a mistake anyone can make when that person tries to be aggressive. You don't know if you're being too aggressive. So that takes practice, and you're probably going to slip up. Fluttershy had to slip up a few times, just like Zuko had to slip up. Making mistakes is fine. Fluttershy and Zuko showed they can learn from those mistakes. as the show went on, Fluttershy has become much more confident, I've noticed. She's capable of speaking her mind. I noticed that she's also a little sassy, what she wants to be. And by the end of it, by the end of the show, I feel like she was capable of like really coming out of her shell and just speaking up when she needed to. She was still shy by nature. She wasn't totally extroverted because you don't just go from introvert to extrovert. You're always going to be an introvert, but you can be more social and you can learn to manage your social battery. Fluttershy learned she could speak her mind, and I remember it really culminated in one episode when Applejack is speaking. She's not letting Fluttershy speak, and at that point, Fluttershy's shouting, saying, "Can you please listen to me?" See, that's season one. Fluttershy wouldn't have shouted like that. I think she would have just given up after a while. By season 7, she's basically asserting her dominance, and by 8 and 9, I feel like she's gotten better. So, any moment we see Fluttershy really speaking up was cathartic because we want to see her stand up for herself more. And I think that's what makes Fluttershy a compelling character compared to her friends. She feels like the most human and the most you could understand. So I'm really happy to see how well she's grown throughout the show. And this is why she's one of my favorite characters. So I don't know what the future holds for her. Because, well, I'm not. Yeah, I've made my own criticisms about the later seasons, but I feel like at some point we just gotta be Fluttershy. We just gotta learn how to be better. So that's all I had to say. Fluttershy, Stun Dash out.